All right, welcome to Humans Anonymous.
How is everyone?
I believe this will be episode 5.
Really? 5?
5. How are we doing today? Got through the holiday season. Finally. It was a long one.
Oh, gosh.
How are you feeling?
I don't want to do it again.
Post-Christmas jitters?
I don't want to do it again.
Well, you have to. We got 360 some days. Well, 350 some now. Christmas is coming.
10th.
Christmas is coming.
Gotta start.
Anyways, welcome back. This is Humans Anonymous, HA, and we are really happy to be able to bring you another episode. Today, we are going to be testing something new out. We're going to do a guest from a distance for the first time. And so we are going to be welcoming back onto the show Aaron West. He will be joining us, and whenever he wants to hop on, he's kind of helped us figure out a little bit easier way to do things as far as having guests on the show. So we're going to hopefully be coming out with a lot more guest episodes very shortly. Aaron, how are you doing today, man?
Doing good. Trying to stay warm. I'm sure you guys are piled under the snow, ready for all the the snow that's coming and the cold that's coming as well. So just getting prepared for that.
We just put down salt all over the sidewalk and the deck and everything today. It was a lot to do for sure, but glad we finally got that done because it's getting cold.
I was afraid for our dog's life.
What's it supposed to be next week? Negative?
It is actually supposed to be a high of 1 degrees on Tuesday.
There you go.
Yes.
So it's getting cold.
Yeah. How was your Christmas? How was your New Year? Did you do anything special this year that you haven't done any other years?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I know I'm not that exciting, so that's a little disappointing. We haven't really changed up or done anything new. I think at least with New Year's, I think when you're a parent, you're kind of over it. Like you want to be in bed soon. I think I was already in bed when it hit midnight, but I think I was playing Candy Crush. Like I wasn't really paying attention to it. Go ahead.
I remember New Year's. Landon and kids were in bed by 10. I stayed up until it hit exactly 12 a.m. My eyes were like falling asleep. And as soon as it hit 12, I was like, I'm dead. I'm out. And then I just went to sleep. I tried my best to be there when the clock struck 12. And I feel like I nailed it as much as I could have.
There you go. Yeah, I felt accomplished watching like the New York ball drop. I was like, if I can watch this and kind of see, and then like the funny thing I was thinking was like, all right, now people got to go home. Like, now what are you going to go do? So,
right.
Like,
see, like me for growing up, like we didn't do like the New York ball drop or anything like that. Even in my adult years, I've never watched it on TV or nothing. So I just figured I'll do what I always do. I'll stay up till midnight and then I'll go to sleep. So, it's kind of just the same old thing.
Yeah, I'm becoming an old man now. There was no way I was making it to midnight.
Yeah, you're out by 10.
That happens. That's all right.
He laid down, he asked me if I was going to stay up with him, and then went to sleep. So,
stuff happens, man. But hey, made it through. I woke up 2024, so I think that we succeeded in it.
There you go. Yeah, that's always the key is to attack the year, attack the day. So, Christmas was fine. We usually do a thing at my in-laws. And so it was fun seeing all the presents. He's got 2 cousins, probably a little bit older than him. He's 5, my son, Jack. So kind of seeing them do all their fun Christmas stuff is obviously the highlight. We kind of have a place that we go now. So that's kind of cool with basketball hoop and batting cages, so you can not only eat a bunch of food, you can go throw out your shoulder or do some damage to yourself. So, but yeah, it was definitely a fun holiday season.
That's good.
That's great. I know that he loves sports too, so I'm sure that was really fun for him. And especially, being parents, Christmas is really about the kids anyway. So as long as they had fun, right? As long as they enjoyed it, and it's always nice to, like you were saying, see the presents, not just the ones that you were able to get for them, but all the love that everybody else shares and shows to your kids. It's so awesome to be able to see how happy they are and how filled with joy they are just by feeling like the center of attention a little bit, even though, it goes around to everybody, but they feel special
Yeah.
on Christmas, just like on their birthday.
Yep. No, that's for sure. He had a blast, and I had a blast playing around with him. And of course, being your dad, you got to take care of making sure all the toys are working properly. So you got to play with them first and make sure that they're not going to get hurt. So a lot of
Yeah,
Hot
you gotta
Wheels.
stock up on batteries beforehand.
Oh yeah, we've
Have the tools
stockpiled
ready.
on batteries.
Maybe it's better to not stack up on batteries.
Yeah, we bought some toys. You ever buy a toy that you regret buying because it won't shut
yeah.
up ever?
Oh yeah.
Got a few of those in the house right now, and I'm considering what to do with them.
Does it have like a little monkey on it? Because we have one of those where he wouldn't. There's a couple like.
It's a monkey, and he's got like 4 colors on his belly. And
Okay.
like you
It's probably
breathe
the
on
same
him.
monkey. It was
You
like
breathe on him, and it sets him off.
Yeah. No, we've been a part of some of those. He's got a new Yoshi that kind of goes off every once in a while. So yeah, let's, like you said, maybe lose a few batteries here and there.
Yeah, it wouldn't be such a bad thing, would it? No, that's good though. I think that we all definitely enjoyed our Christmas then. Did you have any sort of family traditions kind of that you guys do every year that you did, or are you guys a pretty basic, stick to open presents and eat dinner?
We kind of do an early Christmas for my son just because we'll travel. We always say Santa's going to Papa's house. He's not stopping here because we'll be down there. So that's kind of become something. And at least with it, obviously before him, everybody kind of gave gifts to everybody. And we've kind of, it's like now gifts are only for the kids. We're not exchanging gifts with other people. So then you can buy cooler, more fun toys for them. And like you said, you kind of see them play with it. So that's been our bit of tradition. I'm one, I didn't celebrate Christmas for a long time, so I've always kind of had new traditions that come along with it. So
okay, hold on, time out, rewind. You didn't celebrate Christmas for a long time? So let's hear about that. Why?
Part of the church I grew up in, we just didn't celebrate it, and then like things changed, and all of a sudden, bing bang boom, like Christmas has arrived when I'm 16. So
what were you doing on December 25th when you were 15 years old?
Whatever non-Christmas thing, like maybe watching Christmas stuff on TV, but just not being.
But like no presents, no big thing, or no big turkey dinner, no tree.
No, we did Thanksgiving up for sure.
Okay.
That was their Christmas.
Did you guys have like a different holiday that you celebrated around that time? Because I know some different religions or different sects of religion will have different holidays that they celebrate around the same time.
We celebrated one a little bit earlier in the fall, and it's funny because it was like a Christian church, but we celebrated a lot of the Jewish holidays. So like the Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, I think we call them trumpets and atonement. So just kind of changed it up as far as Americanizing those things. But we also did like a week-long trip everywhere to like random places around the country. So I always felt like traveling, we did a 3-week road trip to Palm Springs, California, like Washington, D.C. So I definitely got to travel a lot as a young kid. So I think whatever Christmas money kind of went towards those trips. And so that kind of more or less made up for it in my mind, at least. Like I got to see a lot of cool things.
Right. I think that like the places that I got to travel as a kid, those are definitely cemented in my mind as far as memories go. Yeah, traveling as a kid, I think it's one of those things. I know Amaria didn't get to travel pretty much at all as a kid. And so getting to kind of introduce her to traveling as an adult has been fun. Yeah.
It's especially if you're not the one driving. I think that's part of it too.
100%.
For me, like when we did those road trips, like I got to be the navigator. And so like having the big old Rand McNally maps and stuff where I'm planning the trip was always something for me that was kind of the tradition and fun thing about being a part of that trip and the different things.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you old enough that you had to take maps on the road to road trips when you were a kid?
Yes, I am. Yes,
you guys didn't have a GPS?
No.
Because like I know that's like something that probably to you as a kid was just normal to map but like to me at 24 years old, never having not had a GPS, it's bizarre to think about we have to travel across the country and we're going to just follow where we're hopefully at. Hopefully we can keep track on this piece of paper.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, if you were born around 2000, I'm like, GPS didn't come out till like 02, 03.
Yeah,
so,
I was born 99, so.
Yeah, so they're, to me, like all through the 80s and 90s, like everything driving wise was done with a map or printed out MapQuest directions. Like that was the other.
Oh yeah, print them out and follow the step by step. That scene from a Goofy movie though, when he retraces everything on that map, and I'm like, I always thought as a kid, like, I wish that we still had maps and we could go wherever we wanted when we left. We'd just change where we went. We would just go to Florida instead of to Arkansas, you know?
You still can. Like, you can go buy an old map and just say you're going to go a different way. So,
yeah, there we go. I'll tell my parents they owe me a trip, and then I'll show up with some hard maps.
Yeah. No, it was fun.
Where are we at? 2024?
Yeah.
New year. Like I was saying, we hear this phrase a lot around this time. New year, new me. New year, new me. What does that mean to you guys? I kind of want to hear your take on that. I know some people hear that, laugh it off. You know, some people really take that very seriously. Obviously, New Year's resolutions are a big thing, but what's your guys' take on that? New year, new me. Let's see, Aaron, what do you think, man?
Ladies first.
Ladies first. There we go.
So, I mean, the term new year, new me doesn't really, how should I word this? I don't really care for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I try new things every day in motherhood. So, I mean, there's nothing more that I can do just by saying new year, new me. I'm going to be the same person I was yesterday, but I am going to try something different today, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Since becoming a mom, you know, I knew that things in my life needed to change. And I guess that was my New Year's resolution 3 years ago, that I had to become a mom that my kids deserved, that I felt like was good enough. And so it doesn't mean anything to me. It never really has. So
you would probably go more by the phrase new day, new me?
Not even new me. There's no new me whatsoever.
But just the idea.
There's new things to do.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. No new me. Same Amaria. New things to try.
Okay. I like
That's basically what it is for me. It's a different day, but basically it's not even a new year for me. It's just a very long week of housework. So that's about it. Come on, Luna. Sorry, we got a new puppy.
Shut the door all the way.
Just for everyone out there to know, her name is Mona Lisa. We got her for Christmas, and she's being a bit of a butthead right now. Sorry.
Welcome to the family.
Yeah. So, Aaron, let's hear it. New year, new me. What are your thoughts, man?
I had a very similar thought to what Amaria was speaking on. I wrote down like understanding the growth that you might have gone through from January 1st of last year. Obviously, everybody says at the time of reflection, but it's more of me like, what was everything I didn't know when a year ago from whatever day to what I know now? And like, how can I increase that or do that again? And I guess it's more of an arbitrary time frame to say, okay, this is, and it's makes it easy because it's a new year, it's a new number on the calendar. But same thing, it's like goals, and it's more of understanding it as, are these habits I'm going to be consistent with? If I'm going to say, like, I was going to ask you guys, like, what constitutes like a win in a New Year's resolution, as far as like making it till May or going the whole year? Because I don't usually ever hear anybody in December saying like, I'm so happy I've been doing my New Year's resolution like all year, and here it is December and I'm almost finished with it. I haven't had any candy all year or whatever it might be. So to me, it's like, if I'm going to try to do these new habits for 3 or 4 months that are going to better me, that might move me to something else, okay, I'll try that. If I give up, I give up, but at least I'm going to try something new or learn something that I didn't know before. So I think it is a new year, new me, just as far as the things that I feel like I can gain from this year, even if I don't know what it is, whether it's good or bad. Like if I'm going to go through something to kind of learn more about my grit and how I kind of resolve through different things. So I think that's kind of the concept of at least what's in my head. I'm not so much thinking, okay, this is year I'm going to stop drinking Pepsi or whatever it might be. It's like, if I can have this new habit that I can do consistently or try to do as much as I can, then I feel like maybe it's a win.
Yeah. No, I like that question too. Like, what constitutes a win? And because yeah, we set goals for ourselves, but who decides really when we truly reach those goals or meet those goals? And like along the lines of the whole new year, new me, I would, probably something similar to what you guys think. I don't feel that very much, the whole new year, new me thing. I like it. I know that there's some people out there who really dig into that New Year's resolution, and it works for them for some people. And so obviously there's some value to that saying, and it works for some people. But yeah, I would definitely say for me personally, never been good at New Year's resolutions, never been good at, let's set a date and everything's going to be different after this date. Being an addict, I did that plenty of times and it never really worked out. And so resolutions never, at least for me, seem to work the same way as actually setting goals that I'm just carrying with me every day, not worrying about, oh, if I mess up, then I've blown it for the year. Or, oh, if I mess up, then I have ground to make up. No, I'm just trying to do something. And if I fail, I get back up and I continue to try to do it. And so, yeah, I'd agree with both of you. I think that it's more about setting goals day to day for myself than it is to say, for this next year, I'm not gonna, like drink soda, like you said, or whatever it is, be a little healthier, run a mile whatever you come up with. That's just never been what gets me actually motivated and gets me doing things. And so, yeah, I've always been a goals person, but not necessarily a New Year's resolution person. But I know a lot of people who are hardcore New Year's resolution type people, for sure.
Yeah, I think they should be inventoried in June to see if those resolutions are come true, or if it's something that they've passed on or said that was no good, or I'm not going to do this, because it's, to me, no different. I've started doing like the ice bath, the cold plunge stuff.
Oh yeah, I see that.
And the thing is, for me, I've always said, like, my body, my experience in life is a science experiment. So it's like, how can I test different things? And I haven't been in for a while, but it's like, I know I will go back in. And I think just having the mentality of, once you've kind of done something that you can grasp, get your hands on, because if you wanted to start your own business or to like just start picking up and playing guitar, I think there's things that you'd have to do, those slow first steps of any goal or habit that you're trying to do. It's being consistent within those first few times to make sure that you're coming back, whether it's, I'm going to start running or just going for a walk, like actually heading out the door. And whether you just go for a block or go for 3 miles, I think it's all a mentality of saying, I've decided I'm going to try to do this and make an effort towards it each day. And like you said before, there is nobody taking account for it except for yourself. And so it's one of core values for a lot of people. It's holding yourself accountable and thinking, okay, if I don't do it, I'm not going to sit there and degrade myself and put myself down because I didn't accomplish something. But when I'm doing it in the path, like, all right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, versus saying like, woohoo, hooray, I'm doing such a great job. It's no, this is the plan. This is what I kind of held myself to by setting a resolution or whatever it might be. So I think that's how people should try to view it, and versus just thinking like, oh, I'm not going to drink alcohol, and then February 2nd happens and it's like, I failed. So I think trying to put that in it, but in the same right, if it's something where you have to do that, then obviously if it's life or death or whatever it might be, it's kind of challenges you more a little mentally as far as what you're willing to do.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And it's all a challenge. It all is, no matter whether it's something that is life or death, or just a bad, habit of chewing on your fingernails.
Yeah.
It's so tough to set some sort of resolution, a goal, something for yourself, and say, I'm not going to do this anymore, or I'm not going to, it's incredibly difficult. And so, yeah, talking about, celebrating the win, and, when we get that win, it's so important that we don't, just breeze by it, that we continue to, pat ourselves on the back a little bit, because we are putting in a lot of really tough work to do whatever it is that we're setting our minds to. So, yeah, I think that's a really great way of putting it. With going along with kind of talking about winning, beating those goals, reaching that goal, whatever it is, can you think of something, a time in your life, or a moment where you reached that goal or reached that point, even if it was something small? And can you kind of tell us about, what led to that? How did that feel? Can you, I guess, share a little bit with us?
Yeah, no, I think it's funny. You had mentioned this before, but then all of a sudden, like as you were asking it now, a new memory kind of flooded forward. So I ran track in high school. I was decent. I ran like the 2, 4, and 8. Like my senior year, I think I anchored each of those relays, the 4x2,
Nice.
4x4, and 4x8. So my junior year, our 4x4 team was really good. And I think, went most of the season undefeated. Like every track meet we had, probably 6, 7, up until my buddy like made a bet on us winning, which kind of all of a sudden was like, wow, this is somebody's betting on if we're going to win this race. And so that was the first like moment of intense pressure. But I think in the midst of it, like through the season, the 4 or 5 of us that were part of this team, all decided that like going to the state track meet was our goal. And and we had set this number, I think it was like 3:24. I'm probably messing up the timing of it, but we had set this time probably 2 months before whatever qualifying race it would have been. And like the last 2 races before the regional meet, we had gotten close to the state time. So when it came about and we ended up winning our race, and it was crazy to think that we had accomplished kind of this big thought of trying to like make it to a state meet, which for any of us in like the small school was obviously a possibility, but it wasn't something that was within any certainty, just because it's somebody pulls a hamstring on one leg of the race and you lose
a
second or something. So being able to train, and it kind of gives me an appreciation towards watching any sports athlete that like goes through an injury. You kind of understand like, okay, this is what he's trying to get his body to do, and sometimes it won't do that. So just accomplishing that goal and then going to the state meet and then kind of like walking through and being like, I'm walking around like the best athletes in the state was kind of a surreal moment. And so kind of having that goal and then fulfilling it, and it kind of meeting the expectations when I got there. I got cut off right before. I had some big drama. So like in the actual race, it didn't go as well as I wanted, but I think we all ran like our fastest times. So
wow.
Like that was good, but just the way that it finished and kind of all the emotions afterwards probably wasn't the best, just because it was such this hyped meet. So
Yeah.
I didn't say we were going to win state. I said we were going to get to state. And so at least I accomplished that goal.
That's awesome. Yeah, state, that's a lot of pressure, especially if you're coming from a school who's not used to being there. And so yeah, man, that's awesome. And it's funny because my memory that I was kind of thinking of is sports related too. It's a basketball memory, and like just that feeling of committing to something, especially like in a team sport like that, because I know that you're racing pretty much for your own time, but you're on a team, you're on a track team, and everybody, contributes to the points of the meet, I believe is how that kind of works, right?
Exactly. All the different events all go towards it.
Yeah. So like working on something for yourself, but also for a team, I don't know. There's just something special about that for me. And like the memory that I was thinking of talking about trying to get your body to do something that it doesn't want to do. My 8th grade year of basketball, like I had always been good at basketball. I was usually a starter on, my grade level. I didn't play up too much, but I was usually a starter at my grade level and really enjoyed it. I'm a basketball fanatic. I played for a year in college, but 8th grade, I didn't make a left-handed layup the entire year. I tried some on the left side with my right hand, and I was trying some with my left hand, and it's flying anyway. So for the entire summer before my freshman year, I had told myself I'm going to learn how to shoot left-handed, not just dribble left-handed, not just do a layup left-handed, but that I was going to learn how to shoot left-handed. And so that was like being bipolar and just a kid. Like I was a very start and stop project kind of person and commit to something and then change my mind and do something different. And so for me to actually follow through with that and for an entire summer learn to dribble with my left hand, learned everything up to I was shooting free throws with my left hand. And that helped me a tremendous amount, obviously going into the basketball season. I ended up being able to start varsity, but the point was that I actually followed through with it, because I was never really good at that and took something that I didn't really think was feasible at first. And as I picked away at it and chipped away at it, it became more and more doable and more realistic as the time went on, kind of. And so that was something cool that I kind of learned about it too, is a lot of times we set these goals and they seem huge, but once you start working on them, once you start picking it away, you start to realize just how doable things are.
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of a thought I've had the last probably 5-6 years now. It's whether it's knowledge or whatever you're kind of doing, or starting off, it's always, I'm probably going to do it from the wrong side. Yeah, it's a slow build until it goes up. And so those first few years of whether it's compound interest on like a savings account, like if it's one of those where you're doubling a double and kind of continuing on, like 1, 2, 4, 8, it's not going to be that much. But when it's farther down the road, the more work you put into, the more you're able to get more done. Like whether it's higher quality work, especially if you're kind of sticking with a specific field, whether it's me working on like video editing, of kind of the more that I've done, it makes it quicker and faster and easier. Yeah. So then I can work on other things, which then make all things kind of topple on top of each other, which kind of is that exponential value.
You just said something really, really powerful. And like, I guess that's okay. Let me bring it back. You said just basically the more you get into doing something, the easier, the quicker, the more doable things get. And like, I don't know how many times in my life I have committed to something, started doing it, and as soon as it gets really hard, dipped out. It is so easy once things get really hard, being like, oh, this is going to be really hard forever. This is always going to be this hard. But we don't realize that if we learn how to do it better, if we learn how to do it more efficiently, it doesn't always have to be that hard. It's not that hard for other people who have been doing it for longer than we have. And so I like that. I like that you kind of brought that point up, because that's something that I have to remind myself, because I'm the kind of person who starts and stops things, who really wants to do something with all of my heart, but then will stop because there are certain things that I can't figure out. And I don't want to ask for help, or I don't want to do the research because I make excuses that I don't have time. And so I stall myself, and I keep myself from reaching that goal. I keep myself from having that blessing because I gave up way too early, and so that's a good, reminder, good advice that if you hold on a little longer, it might get easier though. Like it might not always be that hard.
Well, I think I forget who said it. There's a few guys throwing it around, whether they're authors or podcasters, that it's the 10,000 hours rule. Like you can become an expert at anything if you're going to do 10,000 hours of this thing. So I'm
Yeah.
sure with basketball, you would give away those hours to kind of be on the court, practice different things. I grew
Yeah.
up playing basketball, like grew up on a basketball court. So it's like imagining how many hours you spent there is what you're going to have to do to put into creating this wood sculpture that you're trying to do. It's like you're going to have to ease your way up before you're trying to do like a full-blown moose out of like a big chunk of wood. Like you can't jump to that. It's
Oh yeah.
you got to start with little things and understand the process as it goes. But like all of a sudden by the end you're carving with a chainsaw because you've been doing that for the last 3 months of trying to carve different things. So it's always going to be a slow build no matter what you're doing. And it's really hard at the beginning of any of those slow builds to kind of keep that momentum going. And to, like I've always said, it's the second run is always the hardest. Like if you say your New Year's resolution is I'm going to run every day, it's like, all right, go do that first day. I'm sure you'll be fine. It's when you wake up that second day and your aches and your pains from the run from the day before, it's like, how committed are you going to be to get up and do that second run? And it's totally a mentality thing. If you wake up and thinking, I'm just going to go do it, then chances are you're going to do it. But it's like, if you hem and haw in the morning, but it's like, I don't feel like it. It's cold. You're giving yourself excuses as to why not to do it. And so it's all in your head, I think, is kind of the big thing with any of this stuff.
Yeah, and like brain fart. Oh, the 10,000 hours thing, like
Yeah.
it just is it's so funny to me because that's such a simple concept. Just put in the time, you'll be good at it. But like we only want to put the time in on the things that give us something back. The things that we get a reward from, whether that's a dopamine hit or whether that's, $20 an hour, whatever it is that you're, putting that effort in for. It's really hard to put the effort in before there's anything coming back to you, even like, I mean, like with this podcast, it, the people watching who've seen this know it. It's been very difficult for me to keep up with, just doing the work and getting the content out there. And it's like, if you just do it, like we said, it becomes easier. But not only that, like you don't have to deal with how crappy does it feel when we commit to something or genuinely really want to do something and come up with excuses? That was the other thing I was going to say. As humans, we're excellent at, lying to ourselves. And there's like this saying that floats in my head all the time, and I'm sure you've heard it, but if you're looking for an excuse, you'll find one. Like we will always find an excuse not to go on that run, not to get in that ice bath, not to get up a little early so that I can, clear my head and do journaling. I will always find that excuse. I'm great at making excuses up, but
we all are.
yeah, everybody I feel like is. But if we put in that work, there actually eventually does come so much reward. Like it doesn't have to be fronted. We don't need it all up front. If we put in that work, eventually we'll get it back every time.
Yeah, I definitely think too, with it's having that same mentality, but then also I think it's the commitment level changes when you realize the perspective of time. I think that when you're younger, and no offense, when you're 24, you obviously, I'm sure you feel mortality of kind of life in general, but I think you become and realize how much more precious it is, if I could speak as well, like when that time frame lessens, like being 15 years older than you, it's like, all right, I have this compression of time, and it's like, okay, and it kind of gives you a little more urgency sometimes of like, I got to get this and this together, I got to figure out how to do this, when it's sometimes a little bit different because that seems so far away. 40 seems very far away to you, I'm sure right now. Just it's like, I can barely understand 30. So, and trying to grasp as far as what's coming, but then that kind of goes with everything we've talked about. Is it your age, or is it kind of your mentality of as far as how you are dealing with your day to day, whereas it's everything's going wrong, or I'm going to go and attack the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I know personally, a lot of the times it's just not waking up the right way. You know, a lot of times I was just listening to Theo Vaughn did a podcast with Tony Robbins, and he was talking about the way that he wakes up in the morning, called it priming for the day. Getting your mind, getting your body, getting everything ready to take on the day, and only thinking about, you know, the positive of the things we have instead of thinking of the things we don't have, thinking about the present and the future instead of thinking about the past. And like, if you can train your brain to kind of make that switch, life will become a lot easier. Going throughout your day will become a lot less frustrating. And when problems do arise, it'll become a lot more manageable. You know, you'll be able to handle things a little bit better because you've already prepared your mind in a positive way to handle things, to handle the day. And so I know for the listener out there who feels like they just can't, you know, get up and feel great, me neither. You know, I wake up in the morning sometimes and I'm like, screw this, you know, genuinely screw this. Like, I don't want to get up and do this today. And we do it. We get up and we deal with the day, and we either do it, you know, joyfully, or we do it wanting to be out of it. But whatever way we do it, we get up and do it. And, you know, when you take that concept alone, we're going to get up and do it anyway. We might as well prime ourselves to have you know, a decent day, to have a healthy thought pattern throughout the day. And so I know for the listener out there that feels that way, you are definitely not alone. A lot of people feel like that all the time. I don't know if that's something you necessarily deal with. I know you seem like a very, being ex-military, I'm sure influences it, but you seem very disciplined, and like, obviously I'm sure you still struggle with, you know, setting and reaching all of your goals, but obviously I've gotten to know you a little bit and can tell that that's kind of become a little bit more second nature to you, being that disciplined. And so
Yeah,
yeah, you can have all the heart and the passion, but if you don't have that discipline, then you don't really have anything. And if you have all the discipline, but it doesn't come in the right, you know, way, then, you know, you got to have a nice balance of both. And, you know, I see that a lot in you, Aaron, and I'm not trying to, you know, whatever, but I just appreciate being able to see that in someone and kind of recognize, oh, that's kind of like a healthy balance of being really passionate and also very disciplined. Because a lot of times passionate people like me tend to lose a lot of discipline, and, oh, well, I want to do this right now. Well, I want to do this right now. I don't care what I said I was going to do today. You know, I want to do this now. And so I get messed up myself quite a bit because of that, you know?
Yeah, I think I'm not much different. I'm sitting here looking around my desk. I've got like 8 different notebooks with different ideas. I think I've just taken what you've had and I've managed to organize my eternal crazy thoughts, and then it actually can produce into something. I think that's the only difference, really. It's I've managed to somehow, and I have a complex weave of whatever is going on in my brain, but in order to get it out in a way that's healthy, that seems to work for me, it's finding those interests and things that I like doing and figuring out like how can I incorporate those into my day to day, and eventually can pay me, obviously, if that's a way to support myself. One of the things, I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. When you mentioned him, and Theo Vaughn, I think Tony, I took a lot of different things from listening to his book. I'm a big audiobook guy. For me, it's just that audio medium of hearing somebody talk it into my head just kind of makes it sink in a little bit more. I don't know if it was him, but one of the things I wanted to mention too was kind of how you were talking about, like, it's waking up the day trying to figure out like, how am I going to deal with this day? And so one of the things I heard somebody, there was 3 different questions, but to me, it's essentially one, like, before you go to bed at night, like, try to think of like, what can I do tomorrow that's going to make me excited? Like, whether it's playing on your phone, like taking 5 minutes to play guitar, it's figuring out a way to find that little light that might like kind of get you going. And how can I make sure that I do that tomorrow, and putting that into my day? And then it's, if you can start doing that and making sure that it's something that happens on a routine, you're more likely to start to do other things. It's like, why not start habits that make you happy, that kind of give you a joy, give you a break, and kind of give you some sort of a positive to kind of move forward. If you're going to do any type of New Year's resolution, it's all right, I'm going to take 10 minutes where I put my phone down. Like I go into my car. I don't listen to the radio. I just get 10 minutes of silence and just to kind of get away from everything. And so it's figuring out those little joys or happinesses that you can get excited about and think about before you go to sleep, so that when you do wake up, it's maybe one of the first things you're thinking of, like, hey, I got to figure out how to do this. And it's just kind of brightens your day, just because, like, I know I'm going to go play basketball, or I'm going to go eat that ice cream sundae that I want to get from Cold Stone, or whatever it might be. It's that carrot that's kind of leading you along that might get you a little bit going a little bit more.
That little bit chocolate in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that something that brings you joy to kind of get you going. So what is that for you then?
To me, it's essentially my business of just like, how can I go and take the drone out? How can I create this new website or whatever it might be? To me, those are all little, I took, like, my sister's a very creative, artistic, like, I've always said, kind of like with her hands, like in the consensual art space. And I feel like I kind of have that same artistry that can go on, like with whatever you're making on your website, or kind of graphic design, or cutting up a video or of sorts. So it's finding those little things that kind of push you, challenge you, that make you happy. It's tricky to find, but I think once you kind of know what they are, that they're positive, they're good for you, and challenge you, I think those are things that you should try to do.
Challenge yourself. That's a big one. Nobody wants a challenge anymore. Give me the easy thing. Give it to me quick. They'll take cold Big Mac delivered rather than going and getting the hot thing themselves, and so yeah, that's a big one too. We don't always have to do the easiest thing. It's not always about convenience.
Yeah, you're not usually going to get you're not going to be as happy as you want to be if something is just kind of given to you. And so I think everybody is different in how they view how they want to do something or where they want to get to, but obviously it's an age-old adage, like, you got to put the work in order to do it too. So it's not something that's, like we said, it's the grittiness and being able to kind of deal with some of those harder things is what's eventually going to give you the passion. Like, everything's going to be worth it in the end. You're going to appreciate different things. So to me, it's just trying to figure out how to stay positive. I think for a lot of people is tricky, but I think that's kind of the key to all of this.
And honestly, the funny backwards thing about it, and this is kind of the last thing I'll end with, we often think that failing is just failing. But when we're putting work into something, when we're putting effort into something and we're failing, we're still making progress. We're not moving backwards. Every challenge builds character, whether we fail at what we were trying to do or not. You built a little character if you got back up. You got a little smarter because you don't know how to fall down that way again now, And so I think that it's funny that we constantly think, I'm falling down, I'm messing up, I am at a lower place than I was before. When in reality, if we're trying to go along through life and we're trying to reach this goal up here and we fail, we actually move up a little bit because we learned more. We're getting closer to that goal now because we got a failure out the way. When we so often think of it as just, I messed up, this isn't for me, I'm done. I failed, I'm not getting it, I'm done. And it's so sad because we give up. And if we would have just held on maybe a little bit longer, it would have gotten easier. It would have gotten far less complicated, and it's just sad to see so much of that. I do it with things in my own life, and I think that's definitely a good thing to keep in the forefront of our minds when we're talking about goals and when we're, setting forward into our goals and going through life with those things in mind. It's like, when we fail, you just learned a whole lot. It's not a loss.
That's it right there. I think me and my buddy that I work with, we just did a whole thing on success is either winning or learning. Like there is no failing. And so no
I love
matter
that.
what, you're succeeding. So I think that's something to think about and realize, like, you learned option 1 didn't work. Then you try option 2. That didn't work. Okay, now you know that those 2 things didn't work. Let's try 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you willing to go to 13, 14? But it's, I think a lot of times too, it's with whether you're in sales or something, you understand, like, you might get 45 no's before you get a yes, but that yes commission might be worth like 3 months. So it's like, how much time how many no's are you willing to take to get the yes that you want to get, that could, one, maybe change your life, or just kind of makes your day, makes your minute, whatever it might be. You have all these choices and things that happen. So whether it's a no, or you stub your toe, or kind of blocks in your way, it's like, you got to be able to get through those and know that there is an end over here. It's, everybody's struggle is going to be different, and everybody's hardships and hurdles are going to be different sized. So I think that's the thing to consider. And that's why it's like, we have to understand and try to help others along the way, because maybe my path was a little easier to get through than somebody else's. So I should be able to try to turn around and help somebody get through their valley that they're trying to get through.
Yeah. That's a good point. Once we get through that, to give it back, make it a little bit easier for the person that was in our situation, because it sucks to struggle. But yeah, if we can give back, if we can start some sort of trend of giving back, I mean, everybody has been through something. Everybody has a story to tell, and everybody has something within them that they can help somebody else with. So that's a great point, that once you figure it out, don't keep it to yourself. That's selfish. Share it, give it back. So I love that. Thank you for dropping in again, chatting with us for a while here. Aaron West of iMagnet Management, right? And Run West Media.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
coming
Thank you
on.
for having me.
I'm sure we'll have you back on very soon. I appreciate your time today, man.
That, or I'll be behind the scenes.
Sounds good.